Who doesn't love a good massage? But it's not one of those everyday luxuries we can all afford. So we've got a simple way that you can get that luxury back into your life and release some of those tight muscles and get that body moving again. Here Georgie's holding a nice little massage ball. They come in many different shapes and styles, but anything that gives you the pressure that you need and the release that you want is effective. So what Georgie's going to do here is put it underneath her foot. You're going to see this is underneath the plantar fascia, and how hard you want to do it is up to you. You push harder, you'll get a harder release through that tissue. So you just roll it back and forward for roughly 20 to 30 seconds on each side, and then move on to the next muscle. Now we're going to move on to the calf muscles. So the lateral, the outside calf often gets pretty tight, particularly for those of you that do a lot of running. So you'll see here, Georgie's just going to hold several different points along the muscle here to get that release she wants. So she'll move up when she feels it release. What you might feel with the release is just that it lets go, that you might feel the tension ease out of it. Whatever you feel is fine. You might even last there just for 20-30 seconds and move on. So you'll come up to the next point just a little bit higher. They may get more intense, particularly up around here. They can get quite painful, but you just stick on them and you do the pressure as you need. So you can use your arms to take the pressure on and off to give the release that you want. Then we're going to come up underneath the outside of the leg here through the lateral hammy. The lateral hammy is a really nice place to release. It also carries a lot of tension. And as you can see, Georgie's just leaning down on that ball to get that release she wants. There's a couple of nice spots through the hammy. She'll move it up as she feels she needs it. Get those spots. She can even relax down into it. So something I really like to do is to lie down, relax and put the pressure you want, because you got to remember it's about relaxation. This is the time that you're spending with your body to get the most out of your recovery time. Then we come right over onto the side. So again, you've heard me say in other videos or in other times that the ITB is a thick and movable band. What we're doing here is arguably getting the lateral quad. So we're holding trigger points to release the lateral quad, which is underneath the ITB, to get a release through that. You could argue you're also getting the ITB. I'm not really here to debate that at the moment, but you get a nice simple release through those muscles, and you can move that down the length of the outside leg to get the desired result. So after you've gone through a few spots, roughly 20 to 30 seconds in each spot, you come up to the outside of the hip here. Get it underneath the hip bone there. Again, relax down, Georgie, lie down and relax into it. Smile, breathe deeply, relax that leg. Relax, relax. And you can see here, this ball is a great example of something that is just too large. So it should be a little bit more comfortable, and that ends up in a position that is not really a good position for Georgie to be in. So you might see her come back up again, bend those knees, and get out of that position, but that's one you want a smaller ball for. Then we're coming underneath the glute here. You're going to get a bit of a movement, and you're going to go legs side to side. Find that spot that you get a little release. You feel that, Georgie? Does it shoot down your hamstring at all? So sometimes pain might refer. That's okay. Don't be scared. That is not always a negative thing, but make sure it's comfortable as you go through those spots, releasing that off. Then we're going to come up a little bit higher underneath the back. Make sure you just don't go over the spine or those bony processes, because that can result in injury. It's also not a nice spot to release. If you're releasing bone, it's not going to be doing anything. You want to make sure you're over the muscle. So if you're worried, to either side of the spine that runs down is a safe space to be, because there's plenty of muscle there that you can release. And as you can see, George is just taking those legs over, relaxing down through there and releasing those muscles in the back. Now we're going to come back up underneath the shoulder. So we've got all these shoulder muscles that get a little bit tight when you're doing a lot of work. Relaxing down into that position there. Again, you can probably see this ball is slightly too large for a shoulder release, and it's not that comfortable, is it, Georgie? So sometimes you want to go to a little bit of a small ball, which might be more suitable for you underneath the shoulder there. There's plenty of good muscles around here, but we're going to start on the underneath the scapula, which is this position here, the shoulder blade. We're going to come down, relax through there, hold that. You can even take your hand up over your head, other hand, to increase that stretch and try and get that down to the hand, so that to the ground. That'll give you a nice stretch as you go through that mobility and release that muscle. Then we're going to roll over onto our side. We're going to release the lat. The lat is often a muscle that gets really nice and sore All right, as you can see, arm up here, expose that lat muscle, and then relax down into that ball. The latissimus dorsi, or the lat, involved in a lot of shoulder pain and a lot of shoulder discomfort. So it's always a really nice one to make sure that you're releasing, and gives you a lot of freedom when you release that off, and feels pretty nice. Then we've got our upper traps, so you can come up, if you're in a gym space, you can always use a barbell, as we've got set up here with the weight, and Georgie's gonna pop up under there. So she gets it underneath her big trap muscle there on this side, and then what we're gonna do is just extend our arm up and down nice and slow, and get a release through that trap muscle in there. Another thing you can do is, if you've got a little ball, and we want to go a smaller ball, this one's too big, so you go through your smaller option. You can also stick that ball underneath there and do the same release, and point or target that upper trap a little bit more than we already are. And again, same sort of thing, work through that range, but that might be one you might want to get a smaller ball for. We don't always have the tools we need, so sometimes you just need to go to a barbell and do what you need to do.